Hello, welcome to the Living in Salida podcast. I'm your host, Monica McCarthy. One aspect of Salida that truly draws people here is the community. Salida is a year-round community with many people who care about keeping this community thriving. Today, we're going to be talking to one of the people who help keep the Salida and Chaffee County community thriving, Betsy Dittenber. Betsy is the executive director for the Chaffee County Community Foundation, a public nonprofit organization established to promote and facilitate philanthropy in Chaffee County. We're going to call it CCCF. Is that how the best way?
Yeah, easier to say. Mouthful.
CCCF's mission is to act as a catalyst to inspire positive change through the power of philanthropy and to enrich the lives of all people in Chaffee County. All right, back. We're going to take it over to you who can talk. Thanks for being here, Betsy.
Thank you for having me. I can talk about the Community Foundation all day long. So
perfect. Well, then you're going to talk more than me. But first, I'm going to ask you to talk about yourself before we talk about the foundation. So tell us, what brought you to Salida? What's your origin story for coming here?
You know, I went to college in Colorado Springs, and I never really wanted to leave Colorado, but I got the job offer I couldn't refuse right out of college.
That's amazing.
And was hired to help open a new Teach for America region in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay.
I had no intention of moving to Las Vegas. Didn't really like it there, but then with the job opportunity, it was a really, really great fit, and I kind of fell in love with the community there. I met my husband there, we had our daughter, and then COVID hit, and we were wondering why we were spending all of our free time going to the mountains when maybe we should live in the mountains. And one thing led to another, and we ended up moving to this area, ended up buying in Howard, so we're right outside of town.
Okay.
And then I was working nationally for a nonprofit organization focused on bleeding disorders like hemophilia.
Okay.
And then when the Community Foundation job opened up, I was just really excited to work where I lived and give back that way.
That's amazing. So, well, how did you identify Salida in the first place, coming from Nevada?
I had
from Las Vegas.
I had friends from college that moved here right after college, so I'd actually been coming to Salida for many years. Back in the former iteration of the Vic, and very different stage of my life.
Sure. Yeah.
And then
later nights, I presume.
Yeah. Then I had some friends who ended up staying here, living here permanently. They still live here. Actually, my roommate from college, and we're still friends. And during COVID, my husband was totally out of work, and her husband gave him a job building homes. And so he did that until his work picked back up again.
That's great. So it sounds like you had just so many threads just bringing you here. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you're able to find work here, which is another piece. Still. So what year did you start with the foundation? 2021. Okay. So tell us a bit about how that started, and I know the foundation's grown a lot since then. So talk about that.
Yeah. So the foundation was formed in 2018, which is in foundation years very young. I like to say we're moving from our toddler years into our early elementary years right now. And when I came in 2021, my predecessors had done a great job. I mean, really building up a strong foundation, connecting with people, showing the importance of a community foundation. COVID hit, obviously, before I joined, but that was really a time when you need a community foundation. It's a way to, in these crises moments, to give where you know it's going to go back to your neighbors, and it's going to help the people locally around you. Oftentimes in these, sort of big disasters, you give to a national organization, or you aren't sure how to connect the people that are living on your street with what they need.
Yeah.
And so the foundation filled that role. There was a ton of fundraising, a ton of giving during that time, and then a ton of grants that went out the door too, for individual assistance, for businesses, to kind of help them weather those uncertainties.
Okay. So speak a little bit more to, I know you guys have a lot of facets on how you help the community. So what are some of those?
Yeah. So we talk about three different things. One is inspiring philanthropy. So we want everyone in this community to see themselves as a philanthropist. Whether you're giving $10 a month, you're volunteering your time, you're sharing your talents, or maybe you're setting up a fund or leaving some funds in your estate plan to give back to the local community. And so we support all of those avenues. We have collective impact funds where people can pool their dollars to have a bigger impact together. We have specialized funds. For instance, there's a community member who her husband passed away, and he was really passionate about youth wrestling. And so we were able to work with her to set up a not a scholarship, a grant for youth wrestling programs in his memory.
Oh, okay.
So we can be as specialized as that or as broad. However you want to engage in giving back to your community, we have an avenue to do that.
So in that example, that was one of the things that I was going to ask you, is just some examples. So she had some funds and you were able to help walk her through all of the, I guess, the logistics of utilizing those as best she wanted, right?
And then, yeah, exactly. And then setting it up so that it really meets your goals if you're coming into us with that idea, and then administering it. So, accepting the applications, promoting it, and, transferring the money out to the awardees.
Okay.
And we do a lot of different things like that. And, donor advised funds is another thing that we do, where sometimes folks come into a certain amount of money. It benefits them to give it all in maybe 1 year. Everybody's situation is different. And then we can manage that fund that they set up, and they can give it out thoughtfully over time.
Oh, okay.
And we can help do a grant process if that's what they want, or they can just make recommendations for organizations to give to. But oftentimes, we'll be coming to them with suggestions like, oh, I know you care about this area. There's a really cool thing happening. Do you want to invest in it?
Oh, okay.
And so we're like a community broker, if you will.
Okay. So what are some recent examples of ways that people are giving back?
I mean, there's so many. We have 30 different funds that we manage.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right now, we're partnering with the Central Colorado Humanists to do their scholarship program.
Okay.
And so what we do for them is we kind of manage the logistics of it, and so that they can focus on the fun part of reviewing the applicants and, awarding the funds.
Yeah.
But we make sure all the paperwork's there, that the applications are accepted, and communicate with the applicants. So that's an example. I shared the youth wrestling example. I mean, really, it doesn't matter what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about community, we can help you.
Okay. That's amazing. So yeah, I knew you guys had your fingers in a lot of different paths with all of that. But yeah, it sounds like there's endless. So it doesn't have to be pre-existing. You can just come up with, I like this and I want to help this. And
yep, exactly.
It's amazing. And you can help them with everything.
And oftentimes we sit down with people and they say, I really want to support this focus area. Mm-hmm. And we'll say, there's a great organization doing that work. Let me connect you with them. Like, we don't have to be a middleman if it's not bringing value to the relationship.
Mm. Well, and I know, because one example that came up for me is back in October, November, when everything was shut down, when the government was shut down and SNAP benefits were paused, and there were a lot of people in our community that were affected by that.
Yeah.
I know you guys came together to help a lot of people. Can you talk about that more?
So that's sort of a different bucket, which we call emergency response.
Oh, okay.
And so in these times, where there's COVID, there was the Decker fire, there was the fire out in BV last summer, and then the SNAP benefits crisis that came up. Those are moments where community foundations shine.
Yeah.
And in some of those, it's really giving a place for people to donate to help their neighbors, and then us managing those funds to go out to folks who are impacted. With the food crisis, we kind of stepped it up a little bit and did more community convening.
Okay.
Back in March of 2025, when things started going wonky with federal funding, we convened a group of safety net leaders. There's 40 million to 100 million of federal dollars coming into our community, into Chaffee County alone every year.
Oh, okay.
And so any even minor fluctuations in that is going to have huge reverberations. And we knew that just as a community foundation, just as a community in general, we were never going to dollar for dollar be able to combat that. Mm-hmm. But what we could do is focus on those immediate needs, those safety net services.
Okay.
And so that's, that safety net for when you can't pay your rent. Something really drastic is going to happen. You're going to be evicted. You're going to have a major health crisis. You're going to go hungry if you don't have those services. And there's a huge actual interconnected network in Chaffee that provide that. And a lot of it is in the nonprofit space. Some of it is in the government space. Some of it is really just grassroots, friends supporting friends.
Okay.
And so we started convening with those folks back in March just to assess, to understand, see where federal dollars were coming into that network, see where the gaps were. So when the SNAP crisis hit, we were able to move pretty quickly with that group of people.
Oh, okay.
And, bring them all together, do a food access plan, identify some immediate things that, really the congratulations goes to all those partners that were able to implement changes, within days, within a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. And that response ended up being really robust. Everything from gift cards out to people who were SNAP beneficiaries for the 2 weeks that it was closed, to produce boxes November through December for folks who are SNAP eligible. Little pantries popping up all over the place, folks mapping those so that you can actually find them, and really expanding 24 access services. In that role, we were there to put out the call to action and inspire people to get involved. We can't take credit for any of the work that was done, but we were able to be be a trusted source for folks to donate. And so many people donated to the Emergency Response Fund, which we turned out and gave out $50,000 in grants to food access providers to expand and maintain those food access points in our community.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, I know in times like that, some people are just thinking, what do I do? I want to help. I don't know how to help. And so, yeah, like you said, it's where your organization can truly shine because it allowed people to give you that resource and they knew it was going back into the community. And I didn't realize you had such a network already formed, but because I saw responses so quickly.
Yeah.
You listen to the news and then all of a sudden you guys are talking about everything that people can do to help our community and how many people were impacted because there were quite a bit in our community that were impacted.
Absolutely.
That, right?
I mean, the dollar amount of the SNAP, that's again one of those things like we were not going to be able to replace, I think it was about 100,000 a week that goes out in SNAP benefits to our local community members in Chaffee County.
That'd be a lot of money to raise in this.
Well, yeah, and there's no way the community could sustain that beyond. Whereas $1 given to a food bank, you can get a week's worth of food from that. Versus $1 at a grocery store maybe buys you one can of beans, if that.
Doesn't go far anymore, yeah.
And so, that's the other thing here is the SNAP issue being at least temporarily resolved. Food prices are going up and SNAP benefits are not. And so that's why we're still invested in just shoring up that food access network so that we aren't as vulnerable to these fluctuations on the federal level.
Yeah, and just really taking care of our community.
Yeah.
Making sure that all of our neighbors are taken care of.
It's been that was a really meaningful moment for me. Our work is, one step removed. We support the people that are doing the work. We're not necessarily getting our, fingers in the dirt on that. And it felt so good to see some of this kind of chaos happening at a level and you don't know where your role is or, what you can do about it and being able to say, what we can do? We can protect this community and we can make sure there's no hunger in this community.
Yeah. And then sometimes that's fantastic. When you look at everything on a global scale, it's hard. But when you can focus on your neighbors here, you're definitely making an impact where you live. And it's needed too. So, and I love that about our community. A lot of the emergency situations you were talking about, it really is a way for Chaffee County to shine, I've noticed. And so can you speak a little bit more to the community as a whole? What kind of participation you get and any stories you can share about our community?
Yeah, I think the food crisis is a great example on many levels. We are everything from our public health department to our Department of Human Services to our nonprofit community, our faith-based community. Everyone reacted so quickly and so effectively and anticipating these challenges ahead of time. It put us in a position much more so than many other counties. We were quoted in the Colorado Sun when we first put out a call to action about food access. We were one of the first counties to do that and start and really have a plan for people to give back locally and engage with that. And I think that is because we're so interconnected. There's, a lot of ways that we meet, all the leaders in the community meet and connect on a regular basis. And being able to bring everyone together and find those commonalities is really special.
Yeah.
Also, I am continually impressed by the generosity in this community. One of the messages, to your point, we've been putting out is it's time to get hyper-local. Your dollars here, you can make a difference here. And you may feel out of control in other areas of the world that maybe you feel like you can't change and maybe you can't right now. But what you can do is make sure that our community members are taken care of, our public lands are protected, our, streams are clean, those types of programs. And so that's where, I think we put that call to action out and people responded, not just with the food access, but also we host Chaffee Gives, which is regional form of the Colorado Gives Day, a statewide initiative through Chaffee Gives, you can find your local organizations. If you go on the Colorado Gives Foundation site, you see there's millions of organizations across the state. And so at Chaffee Gives, you can just see the ones that are in Chaffee and, the surrounding areas. And we saw record numbers for that this past year, too. The year before, we were so thrilled that we raised over $500,000 through that. And those dollars go directly to all the organizations participating. Some people were like, wow, what are you going to do with all that money? I'm like, it's not my money.
It's going straight to the organization. Yeah. And there were a lot of them, right? Do you remember how many organizations?
There's, I believe, over 100 that participated this past round. So anyway, in 2024, we were thrilled that we raised over $500,000.
Yeah.
In 2025, we raised over $850,000.
That is such a huge jump. I know. I was gonna quote that for you because
it's miraculous,
amazing. And I remember seeing you guys advertise that too, and it was pretty early on in the whole Because it's the beginning of December, right?
We kick off the campaign November 1st.
Oh, okay.
We actually start working on it in August. And so we support all the organizations that are participating, help them get their page ready to go, help them get registered with the Colorado Gives Foundation.
Okay.
And then starting November, we help them run their campaigns. So we send out these tickler emails to say, this week, do these 5 things. Consider this when you're sending out your messages. Send 1 email, put up 2 social media posts.
Okay.
And so we're really coaching the organizations to run successful online campaigns. So it's not just about the dollars raised, it's about that learning and development that goes along with it.
Absolutely. So they can be sustainable and raise those much needed funds.
Yeah. And then building connections. I mean, coming into a new community, we've got tons of new residents moving here all the time. Maybe folks that are retiring and suddenly have more time in their schedules, finding an organization to connect with. That's another great role of that program, is just being able to, we put out a brochure you can kind of flip through and see, I like this cause, and helping people get connected so they become sustaining donors for those organizations.
Yeah, I love that. And I talk to a lot of retirees that come here, and I do tell them there's so many nonprofits here. Like, choose your cause. There will be one. And if there isn't one, you can form one.
Yep.
And I would connect them with you to form their own.
Yeah.
To start just giving back to the community that they love.
Yeah. So that is kind of our third bucket.
Yeah. There we go.
In supporting the nonprofit capacity building. And so we do everything from fiscally sponsor newer organizations, sort of incubate them until they're ready to launch on their own, helping with some of that administrative, the financial management, so they can really focus on launching their program. We also do a ton of different sort of learning sessions throughout the year. Our most robust one is called our fellowship. So we have community leaders fellowships that folks come in for a year. They work with us on one capacity issue at their organization. We pair them with a mentor. And then throughout that year, there's a cohort that meets and supports each other. There's learning opportunities. And then at the end of the year, they're able to share, what they were able to accomplish on that issue.
Wow.
We also do the Community Summit, which is coming up in April. So it's April 28th and 29th. It's flexible ticket pricing. We don't want your budget to be a barrier to getting some support, but that's a 2-day event where you can attend workshops. You can connect with other nonprofit folks. We have a board training that we encourage boards of directors to go to kind of brush up their skills and see where they can be more effective, as well as investing in those folks within the organization, whether they're paid staff or volunteers.
Okay. Wow. Sounds like you thought of so many things because there's a lot that goes into all of this. So
it is. And we also do an online monthly workshop. We call it a lunch and learn. This year, because of timing, it's actually going to be more of a late afternoon snack and learn. Okay. But it's a short 30-minute, you can pop in, learn something, and then we connect you with more resources if you want to dive deeper into that topic.
Okay, that's amazing. So if somebody is moving here and they're wanting to get involved, where would you recommend they start first?
Well, everyone can always reach out to me. That's just one of those things I love about this job, is sitting down and connecting with people who want to do good for their community.
Okay.
And then we get them plugged in. Sometimes it's with us directly. Sometimes it's with another organization that they'd be a good fit for. They can go to chaffeegives.org, and that has a list of local nonprofits that they can kind of peruse and get to know. We also have chaffeevolunteers.org.
Oh, okay.
And that's a sort of I call it Tinder for volunteering, if you will. So you can create a profile. It will send you updates about causes that you're interested in. And then the nonprofits can post their volunteer opportunities. So that matchmaking.
Is there a swipe right?
There isn't. No, but
had to make that joke. But so that I have a friend who volunteers with you guys, and she was telling me about how it's just a great resource. So, you want to volunteer, but you don't know. A lot of people come here so educated and so skilled, and, maybe they're retiring or semi-retired or just have, extra time and want to give back. So it's a way to kind of align your skills with the needs of other organizations, right?
Yeah. And, this past year, with all the chaos going on in the world, our staff did about 120 hours of individual consultations with local organizations. And that's a lot for our staff to handle on top of everything else.
Yeah.
So we launched a consultation core. Okay. So we're recruiting people who have some skills, some knowledge, something that they can share to support a nonprofit. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's financial management, maybe it's communications, whatever it is that you can come to the table with and are willing to give 5 to 10 hours. And then we're matching them with organizations that have a specific project that they could help on.
Oh, that's great. And so it's just skill-based, not the type of nonprofit, right?
Yeah. Yep. And we do factor that in. We do little interviews with folks that sign up and, is there a specific cause area that you're interested in? Is there, a specific type of organization? Working with a startup organization versus a really well-established one is going to be a totally different experience.
Gotcha. And I know it's just a great way to connect with people. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing, if you're moving here, you don't know anybody, this is a great way to just meet other people who have similar concerns and beliefs as you you can rally behind a certain cause.
Absolutely.
You're supposed to.
There's so many benefits to volunteering. I mean, health-wise, social-wise. There's quite a few people here that are remote workers. Mm-hmm. And so getting out of your house, going and connecting with people, meeting your neighbors, volunteering is a great way to do that.
Absolutely. I like to say, if you're coming here, just come here and contribute in a positive way.
Yep.
And this is the best way to do that.
Yeah. And it's, we do have a lot of donors and volunteers specifically for the Community Foundation. We have a bit of a more nuanced mission. We're not going to talk about children fed or, literacy or, trees planted. We're supporting the overall health of the community. Mm-hmm. And some people really like that. They see the value in that. They understand that, these organizations will have times when they're in crisis and we're there for them during that. We can help them figure it out and find some solutions and be their friend and confidant in those moments. And so that's why people give directly to the Community Foundation to provide that service to whenever there's a crisis.
Yeah, I love that. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add about just the Salida community or, helping the Chaffee County Community Foundation?
We just, our call to action is just get involved. Right. If you care about community, we can help you get plugged in. But if you're already plugged in, then our work is done, keep going.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I love what you're doing. And I think it just is a nice testament. I talk to a lot of people who are interested in coming here or have found Salida, and the community is one of the top reasons why people come here. And so there are a lot of people who care. And
yes,
I thank you for being one of those people and helping everybody get connected who want to be one of those people and
absolutely
thrive.
The level of care, the level of involvement in this community is amazing. And, it is a special place, and it's special because of all that great work that people are doing.
Absolutely. And to protect it and to keep it this way. There's so many causes and there's a lot of people in our community that could use some assistance. So I love it.
Yep. We always say there's a cause out there that will speak to you. So if you haven't found one yet, we'll find one for you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time and everything that you do here. It is truly appreciated. So tell us again if somebody's interested in learning more about everything we talked about.
Go to chaffeecommunity.org is our website, and there's ways to get plugged into all of those things on there. If you want to volunteer, you can go to chaffeevolunteers.org.
Okay.
Or if you're looking for a local organization that you want to give to directly, you can go to chaffeegives.org.
And you can do that all year round, not just during the Gives Day, right?
Yep. It's a year-round resource.
Perfect. Well, thank you again. And thank you so much for listening.